Hey guys, it's Roscoe, and on the Space Couch site we're joined by the Grand Admiral, because I'm going to be reviewing this Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising. Thoroughly enjoyed this. For me, for this one, the story flowed much smoother than in the other Thrawn novels, which I thoroughly enjoyed as well, of course, and they're all great. But this was a very straightforward read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, basically, there's a plot against the Ascendancy. Intermixed with this ongoing plot are what they call memories, but they're more like flashbacks. It's the ones that have the borders on them like this. Oh, and this, by the way, is the symbol of the Chiss Ascendancy. So, goes into a lot of detail as well about the makeup of the culture. It's very appropriate given the Grand Admiral, of course, and how he's able to glean information from artwork. And there's a lot of that in it as well, which is great. So there's a very odd attack on the capital planet Scylla, if that's how it's pronounced, by unknown ships that's easily defeated and they're destroyed. But the Ascendancy is up in arms. Who would dare attack them? They are the most stable force in that part of the galaxy. And it's the space there is as stable as well, rather than the rest of the chaos around them in the unknown regions, which is caused by a bunch of supernovas in the distant past and everything. So the Ascendancy is trying to focus on who did that, because whoever did that is going to get taught a lesson they will not forget anytime soon. But there's another attack on the edges of their space, a refugee ship with everyone killed on board, unknown race, unknown attackers. So Thrawn gets mixed in with this and he's trying to figure out what is going on. And there's this power, it appears to him and several others, that is very slowly encircling the Ascendancy. It's subverting other nations on the edge of Chiss space, here and here and down here, as it were, if you looked at it on a galactic map. And they can't figure out why or who. One race is using another race to use another race to use another race. It's all that sort of thing. It's absolutely fantastic. And like I said, there's lots of Thrawn's deductions in there as well. He's great how he figures things out, how he plans ahead as well. It's like contingencies. He's always got a contingency. It's fantastic. And as much as he is able to understand the culture from its art, he's not the only one who can do that. Yiv the Benevolent, General Yiv the Benevolent, so you tell me how benevolent he is the head of the Nakardans, and they are the ones, it appears, who are trying to overrun the parts of space surrounding the Chiss Ascendancy. But he is also very intelligent when it comes to art as well. And there's a great conversation where the two of them meet and they're talking about a painting, and it's brilliant. Yiv the Benevolent. But Thrawn, of course, being very well aware of other cultures, knows that other cultures will be very well aware of the Chiss culture and will base their actions on how they perceive Chiss would react to certain things. The Chiss never attack first. That you don't bother them, they won't bother you. You move against them, you will really wish that you hadn't. So that is what is going on. And it's absolutely fascinating because he gets a couple of the other characters. One who's a young Skywalker, you know, the Force sensitives who pilot the ships through hyperspace for the Chiss. And a former Skywalker who is now the caregiver for the actual Skywalker, to dress up in very elaborate robes and thick makeup that is literally like a mask, and he introduces them as his family hostages. And Yiv the Benevolent and the others, I think, they don't know this about the Chiss. You know, so it's like, what is going on with that? How can we not know this about the Chiss? Maybe we're wrong about other things. And that, of course, is exactly his plan. To distract them, throw them off the track by disseminating false information. And of course it does play to his advantage as well. So this is the first book. This is basically just setting up the stage. It seems at the end, Yiv the Benevolent is being defeated, captured by the Chiss, by Thrawn, and taken back to the homeworld for interrogation. But there was another character who is a member of like the Navigator Guild, and he can also pilot through hyperspace, through the chaos, him and the other navigators, and they're supposed to be neutral, but he's tied up with Nakardans, and he thinks, oh, I'm free now. But at the end of the book, he's captured, and then he wakes up somewhere, things like in a room, and then he hears this voice, this very cultured voice, not Thrawn, someone else, and like, this is the person who is behind everything that's going on. What was his name? Jixtus, Jixtus, and I suspect he might be a Grisk, because they are very good at being able to dominate planets and worlds, which is a handful of them. Because the story does go to Batuu at one point, although given we saw that in Thrawn Alliances, it's based, the whole Batuu thing, how that plays out in the rest of that storyline. He goes there and then he's back, so they don't really talk much about it. Anakin Skywalker does appear, but it's the conversation that him and Thrawn had in their ships before they met on Batuu, and that is about it. And it's a whole thing about being puzzled by the name Skywalker, thinking they've heard it wrong. And I remember Thrawn was startled the first time he heard that in that book. So it's very, very good where this is all leading. Thrawn's rise through the ranks, the family politics of all the 9 ruling families and the different levels of family membership and everything, from like a merit adoptive, which is what he is, to trial born, where you go through trials and then you're more accepted into the family. Then there's like a ranking distant, which means you are now a part of the family in your bloodline. This is about as high as a merit adoptive can rise. Your bloodline will now be part of that family bloodline, so you will then be blood-born, and that's another rank, I think. And there's a couple of others as well, the higher up that it goes. But yeah, fascinating details. Like I said, this read very easily, thoroughly enjoyed. I'm very much looking forward to what happens next, because the Ascendancy think they've beaten Yiv the Benevolent. Problem solved. Problem is just beginning. So we shall see, I suppose, next year what happens in part 2 of Thrawn Ascendancy. But for now, this was absolutely fantastic, as always. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for what upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.